Hello, guys. Hope you can see us.
Hi,
Could you
everyone.
please?
hi.
Hello, hello, hello. There's two attendees. If you can hear us, could you please just put a chat that you are able to hear us? I can see, I can see emojis. So I guess they are able to hear us. So I'll start. Hello, welcome you all, and thank you for joining us. Uh, As in the world of education and training continues to evolve, e-learning has emerged as a pivotal force in shaping the way we learn, teach, and engage. In today's session, we'll explore the key trends and innovation that transforms the e-learning landscape, whether it's through technologies, learner-centric approach, or shift in content delivery. Our goal is to equip you with the insights you need to stay ahead of the curve and leverage these trends to enhance the e-learning strategies. With us is Kavitha Ravipati. She is an accomplished learning leader with more than 2 decades of experience. She has a background into contributing to prominent organizations like Satyam, Microsoft, and IIT. Also with us is Vishak, who is also known as Visakhandan, a seasonal instructional designer with more than 16 years of experience, has an experience of working with world's largest corporate organizations. He has a is keen learning tech for learners, and that converts that experience into learning intervention. So I welcome you all. So without any further ado, Vishak, I would ask you to please take over.
Thank you, Sid. Hi, welcome to everyone. It's amazing to be doing another webinar. We had one in December, and now we are having our next one. So let me share my screen, and we can get this started. Let me know if you're able to see the screen, Sid.
Yes, Vishak.
Okay, great. Right. So, hi. As Sid mentioned, we are kind of using this time to explore what is going on within the field of e-learning, especially since it's almost 2 years now since AI has hit us with a bang, and we have been talking about tools and processes and various ways in which our entire L&D field itself is changing. So I think it makes sense for us to have this discussion. We are going to kind of talk on some points that possibly are going to change how learning and development is going to be approached in 2025 and in the coming years. So really looking forward to discussing this and hearing everybody's thoughts and seeing how we can kind of keep this conversation going forward. Yeah. So quick round of introduction. I think Sid already covered this, but just to give you an insight into our speakers, Kavitha here has been, she is the co-founder of Apposite Learning Solutions. She has a wealth of experience coming in from Microsoft and various other companies. And she is very passionate about instructional design. So I think it makes sense for us to kind of have that conversation, specifically kind of targeted towards instructional design, because the learning experiences that we are going to create as instructional designers really depends on how things are changing in today's world with respect to technology, with respect to how people are consuming these experiences. So I think it's important to have instructional design veterans kind of opinion over here. I am going to be very candid here. I'm extremely interested in how AI is progressing in today's world, and the kind of changes that it's bringing about in our day-to-day lives itself is nothing short of astounding. We are kind of facing the same kind of changes that we are seeing when mobile phones came in, when personal computing came in. So I'm really interested in this, and I'm can't wait to kind of discuss these thoughts and see how our world is going to shape up with all these changes. Why this matters is because we as instructional designers, we as people who create learning solutions, the way people work, the way people live their lives, how it changes, it's very important to us, because that helps instructional designers, that helps us kind of understand what is it that we're going to create for tomorrow's workforce? What is it that we're going to create for tomorrow's learner who has probably a completely different background and the world that they're coming in? So it's very important for us to know these changes and be aware of it. I'll also talk about today's agenda a bit, so that it gives you an idea of what's in store in the next probably 60 minutes, 50 minutes. Yeah, we are going to talk about the big picture over here. What exactly is happening? How has learning evolved in the last couple of years, especially after AI has come in? The impact of AI in how we consume learning, how we design learning, and also how we have to adapt to these trends, how organizations need to adapt to these trends. We'll be looking at it at a very high level over here. Mostly, we're going to look at trends in e-learning. What all changes are we noticing, in the way learning solutions are being created? So this is something that Kavitha and I are going to actively discuss and see if, there is some insights that we can provide to everybody out there. We're also going to touch upon the future of learning and development from these standpoints, how the learning and development teams are going to be affected because of all these changes. What are the kind of learning models we are going to be looking at as we go forward, as well as the changing role of e-learning providers, the various companies out there who are helping organizations create those, learning experiences for upskilling their employees and such. So that's something that we're looking at, and some closing remarks on, what's next. Let me start. I think we are looking at a very big picture over here. Learning has changed, and I'll stop over here and just check with Kavitha itself. Like, how do you see it evolving, Kavitha? Like in the last couple of years, you've been doing this for 12 years now, running Apposite. So, what kind of changes are you seeing, with respect to e-learning?
Yeah, see, I think, a lot of people in the industry have been considering, e-learning as, a click next and, have some interactivities and, learn some content. And there is video-based learning. But to me, I think I've always considered anything learning digital is e-learning. And the way it has transformed in the last 2 years, and we are seeing it like every day there is a change in the way we have to approach a learning solution, right? So it is no longer a click next or tabbed interactivity or anything of that sorts. I think there are many different e-learning modalities have emerged now. I think especially like what you were saying, Vishak, with a lot of AI tools and technologies coming out there, creating different modalities like having AI based avatars which can help in aid in training, devices that can throw modules in a very incognito way, that is one kind of a learning that's happening. So I think the possibilities are seeming endless. And me and I think you, we always are within Apposite and also in general are extremely anxious and inquisitive about what else is there out there and what are the other things that we are not even aware of. Okay, like I think Vishak, you are constantly on LinkedIn and other forums, trying to see what's new and all that, right? And guys, believe me, Vishak and I almost have a day-to-day conversation about what else is there and how else we can integrate these things into a new project or a new client that comes to us. They say you want to do something different. So we are constantly seeing that things have evolved a lot. Okay, it's no longer the pure play interactive e-learning any longer. And I think there's so many modalities that are coming in play. And I think we're going to talk in the next few slides. What are some of the things that we've been seeing, and we are also trying to integrate into our learning solutions that we are proposing to our customers. So yeah, I think it's evolving as we are talking, Vishak. That's what I feel. Okay,
Yes,
and
it is.
it,
It is.
it is quite restless that way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, quick question, Kavita. Like, what do you see in terms of an instructional designer? How does this affect, us? Like, at least for our teams, how do you notice a particular change in the way we are using tools and using methodologies? Is our time getting, using lesser time to come up with these storyboards or analysis? But what kind of changes do you see there in
Yeah,
terms of
I
these
think
tools?
there are two things, Vishak, like you said, how learning is getting consumed and how learning is getting developed, right? The content. So with so many emerging tools, right, the content development, the whole life cycle has like really, it shrunk a lot. And I think today I use one tool, tomorrow there is a new tool, or, there is another tool. So, and these tools are extremely smart, and like what we've seen, lot of work actually has become much easier now. A lot of instructional designers, and specifically, people who are just into writing and not other skills, are actually a little worried as to what's going to happen to them. But I
Mm,
think, like what we discussed in a previous webinar and also today, and my feel, and I think everybody will agree to what I'm saying, is that the role of an instructional designer or a learning consultant is going to become more and more strategic, rather than being task based, or tactical role. So I think you need to start thinking beyond just writing content or chunking content and all that, but see what kind of tools, technologies are available out there. How is my learner going to learn, and what are the different environments in which my learner is put in, and what works in which environment. So several different things have to be considered. And I think a major thing which I am also experiencing is that as instructional designers, we need to be very close to the technology trends and the way things are moving out there, versus in the past, where there were learning technologists who were very busy, trying to write the code for the modules or creating the LMSs and trying to integrate those things and all that. But all those things are also getting AI enabled. So and so many options are available. So how do you integrate all these things together, and how do you put up a kind of a platform or a whole learning experience? I think to even think of that, you need to understand what's there out there, okay, and what AI technologies, what AI tools are there, what platforms are AI enabled, and how will you even integrate the platforms with these AI technologies, and how will it impact the learner. So the instructional designers or learning consultants role is going to change drastically, is what I feel, and I'm experiencing it myself. The way I used to think back then to the way I'm thinking right now is extremely different. So yeah, Vishak, that's what I feel.
You're absolutely right, Kavita, especially with respect to, being tech savvy. That's a huge,
Yeah.
huge thing for instructional designers. One thing, especially that we were discussing regarding within the instructional design processes itself, right? Like analysis, storyboarding, and such. Earlier we used to spend a lot of time, we used to make certain assumptions that learners are gonna engage with this kind of an interactivity or this kind of a strategy, and we should put this out. But then once we create the entire course or the module and we put it out there, then we get feedback that maybe learners are not really relating to it. So that entire time taken to create and then implement and evaluate, that's actually going crunching down severely, because we have AI tools available that kind of quickly create small protos or small modules that we can immediately test out with learners. We have AI tools that create learner personas, then those personas could be used to kind of analyze and test the modules. So there's so much available for us to kind of bring in efficiencies in all those instructional design phases that we are doing currently, right? So you're right. I mean, technology it's a huge thing, and it's very important for us to kind of be comfortable, we understand what is out there, especially. And I think from an organization perspective also, right, Kavitha? I mean, why would companies need to adapt to these emerging trends? I mean, do you see that a lot of companies are kind of a little slow in adapting to this, but there is also a huge push. Recently I saw a report saying that while managers are, or organizations are taking time to kind of incorporate certain tools, the employees are being very proactive, and they are researching these tools and experimenting and figuring out things by themselves. So you do see that there is a huge push from individuals themselves to kind of get acquainted with these tools. So how do organizations get affected because of this? How do they adapt to the future for this? Any comments over there?
Yeah, I think, organizations need to understand the need to upskill quickly, okay, their
Skill.
employees. Yeah, and that upskilling, again, within the L&D teams of organizations, there is no time to, take a whole program and develop it and take it to another 6 months and then release it and all. I think the employees themselves, like you said, are so curious to learn things so quickly. Organizations have to start churning out content and churning out experiences that reach these employees quickly as well. So I think, again, like you said, with AI tech, the whole thing is shrinking, the whole life cycle is shrinking, so things can be done faster. But I think everybody needs to start thinking to adapt to these kind of changes and not think that let's wait and watch kind of a thing won't work, because then you are basically lagging behind and everybody is running ahead of you. Yeah.
True. Great. So I think these capture some of the key themes, that's happening right now. AI is at the center of it all. And yes, the whole landscape, both in terms of learning consumption as well as the creation, design of learning solutions, that's changing a lot. Let's take a look at, what is the kind of changes that we are noticing. What are the kind of changes that we are noticing when it comes to e-learning specifically? So the main word, the theme over here is that it's personalization. Everybody is talking about personalization of learning experiences, that one size fits all approach. I know we have given it on it, I think maybe a couple of years back itself, when we understood that it's not going to go anywhere. But right now, I think with all this AI technology, the kind of tools available to us, personalization is definitely right there, achievable. So
Right.
what are we looking at? We are looking at how do we make the personalization, the experience for the learner as adaptive as possible. And the reason why I'm saying that it's possible right now is because we've seen how LLMs and various other tools are able to kind of quickly create content for us, and that content can be put across to the learners. We can test them out, know that if it's working out for them, and if it's not, then we can go back and recreate the content as per the learner's expectations in really short time. So that's a huge advantage, I think, right? I mean, Kavitha, what do you think in terms of?
Yeah, I think, this whole adaptive learning concept was already there. And I think, like you said, Vishak, with the new tech, emergence of new tech and all that, this thing becomes much more easier right now. Because, generating content and capturing those lot of analytics and, the kind of data about how the learners are accessing the content and how much they're completing, what are the scores. I think, it is becoming much more easier in terms of, identifying all of that and then making the content extremely adaptive to the learner's needs. So, yeah, I think, again, when it comes to the role of instructional designers here, creating and, making sure while AI can still do it, but the whole whole strategization of how do I make this whole learning program adaptive, fully adaptive, using the different technologies available, and which is the best technology that is out there that I can use. Like organizations, at some of the organizations may not have any platform also ready with them, right? But they want to start implementing adaptive learning for their employees, for their teams, right? So as instructional designers at this point, more than just suggesting how do you design it and all, I think, along with designing it, what are the different platforms that they can pick and choose, and or if is it a custom platform that you have to build, and what should that platform entail, and what is the logic that it needs to operate on. I think all those things are something that instructional designers need to start thinking, along with the tech experts. And I think the tech savviness is, really comes into play over here. So yeah, that's what it is, Vishak. And I think, it is much more easier, I feel, than what it was before. But then it involves a good bit of strategization to implement this.
Definitely, yes. And oversight also, I guess, because
Yeah.
yes, we are able to create a lot of content, but whether that content is of quality, whether good, learning impact, I think that's where again, instructional designer or a learning experience designer who really has seen different types of learners and how they work, they would be able to kind of contribute and design a better system than what is currently out there or what we can do. So
Yeah.
that's with respect to these, creation of these solutions. From an ID perspective, instructional design perspective, how is it? How does their workflows get impacted? Like, I may be creating storyboards or doing analysis for my traditional e-learning content, but when I'm looking at creating adaptive learning content, or content which uses an LLM to kind of quickly generate content, then how does that impact my design phase? How does that impact the way I collect data for my analysis? That is something that we'll need to think through, because it's
Yeah.
definitely not changed. There's no one answer over here, but that's something that we'll need to take a call, or we need to discuss as instructional designers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true, Vishak. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It actually moves to a further, because adaptive learning is something that we have experienced, I think, almost 9-10 years now. There was area 9 Lyceum. There were a couple of other platforms that had come in, and they had done a pretty good job with respect to creating adaptive learning solutions. But what we are looking at right now is more of personalized learning experiences. And I want to stop here and kind of, I know we had this conversation, right, Kavitha? I mean, what is adaptive learning and what is personalized learning, right? So one of the things that we had discussed was adaptive learning is from a perspective of what are the current skills that a learner has, and basis the progression of those skills and capabilities, you will be kind of adapting the learning complexity, adapting the way the content is presented to the learner, purely based on that existing set of skills. But personalization is more in terms of what are my attitudes, what are my behavioral markers, how's my environment like, am I in a safe environment, am I of very holistic health and sound mind and body processes. So these kind of information things, which is very easy to collect these days, right? I mean, you wear an Apple Watch, or you have certain
yeah,
sensors. So those using that and kind of creating content that really ties in with the learner's overall holistic manner of learning, then that kind of brings in more efficiency, more learning impact. Kavitha, do you want to speak about a little bit more about this, that especially the
yeah,
person?
and I think this is, yeah, especially the hyper personalization and the personalization. I think, Vishak, you're right. Okay, because uh, I consider myself, okay, whenever I design a learning solution, I always put myself in the shoes of the learner. And I think, the kind of a learner that I am versus maybe Vishak, you or anyone else out there, right? Everybody learns very differently. And the times during the day, the mental state of me, that what kind of content that I want to experience, it all varies. And if we can implement this for the learners, right? Like, for example, if you like the Apple Watch example that you had taken, okay, Apple Watch is constantly monitoring your sleep patterns, it is monitoring when you're on the move, what is your heart rate, where are you located, where the location, everything is tracked, right? Now, if we can take all of the data and then try to push modules which are like early in the morning, or just after you just get into the office, your heart rate is not so high, you're just warming up to the day, and at that time, the learning modules or the learning experience that you can throw at them are something very refreshing, maybe a nice interesting video which can pep their day up. Okay, but once the day starts and all that, people get extremely busy, and at that time maybe you don't push very serious content, you might just some hints here and there, or some tips and tricks kind of a thing. And also, where do you push it to their phones, do you push it into the teams chat that they have? The agents can, there are many ways that you can push content, right? And then once post lunch that you're taking it a little easy, then these technologies can identify your patterns over a period of time, and at that time maybe it can push little more serious content to you. And there's another thing also that we were talking, right, Vishak? Okay, if you are if you're a sales representative, and there is a lot of sales training that organizations do for store sales employees, and people who are on the shop floor, etc., right? But with personalized and hyper personalized devices that are coming right now, right? Like the meta lens that we have for Ray-Ban, right? So you can just there is a lot of training and other things needed, but then you can just wear the lens, and then you're talking to a customer, and if the customer is speaking at a certain tone, or the customer is saying certain things, your 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 device can actually suggest that at this point, this is how you should say, or these are the things you should say. Versus in the past, how it was like, you put the learner through some experiences, you give them some scenarios and make them go through those scenarios, and then they'll have to remember all of that. So the cognitive load was also higher back then. But with these devices, it's in a way good and bad, that people needn't remember a lot of things because it is just in time for them. But then it is just in time is really good, right? I mean, at that point in time, you know what to do, and
Yeah.
you're not forgetting. So that hyper personalization, I think, is a super concept. And but Vishak, like what you said, it needs a bit of thinking on how you want to design this, and it is easy said than done. Okay, so when you are planning for a very hyper personalized learning intervention or a learning experience for an organization, many factors come into play: their environments, what devices people are using, what kind of tech that these organizations have, what kind of communication channels that organizations are using. All these need to be considered, while you are designing a completely hyper personalized environment.
Not to mention data security also, which is a
Yes,
huge, because we're dealing with actual bioinformatics coming in from these learners. Yeah.
right.
But it's truly interesting times. I mean, we are seeing the glimpses of a future where there might be learning which is very seamless, and analytics which is happening, which is very seamless. We are able to understand how learners are interacting with the content, how their the mental, physical frames, all of that work with these learning experiences. So yes, truly exciting times that we are gonna go into.
Right.
Think post that, we are looking at adaptive and personalized learning, but we are also going into a phase where we are seeing a lot of immersive learning happening with with respect to, augmented reality and virtual reality that's coming in, we are seeing that, there is scope for rapid creation of these virtual reality environments. We just got to know of Microsoft's Muse AI, and there is NVIDIA, which has its own, I think, app that's coming out, or it's already come out, that helps you create these virtual reality environments really quick, and games that are really quick. So from a instructional design point of view, right, these technologies, these things are no longer out of reach. It's very much possible for us to build these solutions, right? But the thing is, what is the use case? Is it really necessary in a particular use case? These are the kind of questions that an instructional designer will need to ask, within specific projects and such. And also, again, like we mentioned earlier, they need to be aware of all those technologies out there, which will help them kind of create these solutions really fast. And also kind of help with the analytics, figure out if these solutions actually work for learners. All of these things can be done really fast nowadays, and as we go forward. um,
Yeah, and then these kind of specifically Vishag AR and VR, I think implementations. Not many organizations have been doing, because the implementations are quite expensive, right? To create those objects, and even storyboarding and whole coding and all that. But I think with now, with again AI being AI, a lot of stuff can be automated, can be quickly done without a lot of effort involved. I think, again, like what you said, Vishak, there is a lot of uh, security considerations that we have to bring in, and also and the number of technologies are so much right now. I mean, the devices also, there's so many different devices available, and
yeah,
what works best in which scenario is where I think, again, as instructional designers, we need to see, because trying to understand in which scenario which device works, and what is the cost of the scenario, what is the implication of using that particular device. All those things have to be thought out. But then I think these are becoming more and more prevalent, and I think easier to implement. Not like earlier, like oh, okay, yeah, we are solution. No, 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 they're very expensive. I think we are we are just going away from that, and getting into areas where it is getting much and much more easier now.
true.
Okay.
That was immersive learning, and I think this is pretty much prevalent. I mean, everybody asks for it. It's probably one of the best ways to learn, and probably the reason why that is because life itself is sort of a game-based approach, if I were to say. And the kind of markers that we have available in life that motivates us to do certain things, learn certain things, detractors to not do certain things and learn certain things. So these kind of things, when we bring into our existing learning environments and provide those kind of little motivation, activities, and things that by which we nudge learners into completing a particular learning solution, or trying out something new. These things are existing, but we can take them to an entirely different level with AI being there. Again, coming back to Microsoft Muse AI, which will help you kind of create learning, 3D based
Games.
environments, game environments really fast. So with these kind of technologies available, right, I mean, why do we need to go back to conventional e-learning modalities when we can create things that really motivate learners? We can give things like rewards and badges and leaderboards and such that we are doing today. If it's possible, we can kind of create a platform that very much mimics what's happening in life and kind of give those motivations. I've seen a lot of games that do that. You're really into that method of like saying, okay, if I complete this quest, I'm going to get these many points, and I'm going to complete as many quests as I can. This is something that's been going on for quite some time. I was, in fact, Kavitha, you'd be surprised to know Microsoft had a game called Ribbon Hero,
Yeah.
which which was released when Office 2007 came out, and it was very cute. Like all they wanted to do was to make sure that learners get to use that ribbon in your Microsoft products very well. And this was a time when Microsoft products had just hit the market. So
Right.
created this game where you can go into various types of prehistoric worlds and other worlds and create certain things, and through that get familiar with the various buttons on the ribbon and such. It was very cute, but did well. It was back then. So I'm just saying these things existed way back then. I'm sure there is definitely a use case, maybe more, that we can do in terms of creating game-based learning, add gamified elements to our existing learning courses and all, to make it more engaging.
Yeah.
Eager.
True, Isha. Because as an instructional designer, I always used to dread. Okay, if I had to write an entire learning program as a game, I mean, what are the different kind of branches that I have to consider? Okay, what kind of point system? And I think a couple of years back we've done one project for Microsoft, right, where we were trying to add gamification elements to technical training. And then there were so many permutations and combinations that we were thinking of, and we were trying to write the game logic and how do we build it. And it took a lot of time for us to come up with the whole game logic. But now with these AI technologies and tools, the game logic can be built so quickly, and the game environments can be built so quickly. So all of these things will really enable us to create learning modules which are completely game based. And I think currently, like what we are doing, we are also trying out for one of the large uh,
Company.
aerospace organizations, that we're trying to see to teach some fundamentals of physics using some gamification and game based learning. And we are trying to see how we can utilize AI to write the game code, AI to create the game interfaces, AI to create package the whole thing as a course and give them points and badges and stars and those kind of things. So I think it is getting easier. It is not as complex as or as daunting it used to be back then. But like I am continuously saying, knowing what tool to use and which is the right tool to use to create what kind of game, I think is the key at this point in time, and for which you'll have to constantly keep exploring, reading up things, trying your hands on things, and be hands on and keep exploring. I think that is the way. And keep reading and attending webinars like ours and many other webinars that are happening out there. I think there are a lot of webinars happening on a lot of AI trends out there, and I think we should be all the time be out there and see what is happening. I think that is the way to go.
True, true, true. There are a lot of great work being done by existing e-learning veterans out there who are constantly experimenting with integrating, AI-based solutions, chatbots, and other agents within conventional tools like storyline-based e-learning solutions and such. So, and these people are actively, putting out their work, discussing their work, making sure that others are able to kind of follow through and build those systems. So it's a very nice community we have within the e-learning space. So I can see that through collaboration we are going to kind of get to that state where all these things like game-based learning and all can be done very quickly. And there's a lot of collaboration happening out there, so that's nice. I think those were the key themes around e-learning, specifically, game-based learning, hyper-personalized learning that we can build out. Now, as we were constantly talking through, even Kavitha was also emphasizing the fact that how is it that, L&D teams, how do we augment ourselves with all these changes, all these new strategies out there? So I think one of the things is that as we move ahead, we need to collaborate faster. We need to kind of put our ideas out there, share them, see how we can improve the overall efficiency of all these learning programs. How do we collectively bring it up? And also like use of AI tools. Kavitha was emphasizing the fact that we cannot afford to get left behind. We need to constantly look at what is out there, and it's hard. Yes, every 2 days there is a new tool that's coming out, which would probably be way better than what was 2 days back. And so, but the thing is, I mean, we do find a lot of curations of these various tools. We know that there is, from real-time experience on various projects that we have, we know that there are some tools which are really good. Some that can, are constantly being evolved. So that awareness, building of that awareness, experimentation, that's very important. And lastly, this cannot be stated enough. Whatever we do, whatever we create using these AI tools, that human oversight is very important. We need that gatekeeping to understand, to see whether what we are creating is really impactful, and not just put it out there, by just creating. It's important that we make sure that everything that we create using AI tools is really impactful for the end learner for whom we are creating these solutions, right? So
True, Vishak. Yeah, and I think I don't have anything to add. I think you've nailed it. Because uh, like as you're talking, I'm sure there are two other tools. The team is sending here saying, Kavitha, look at this. There is something new out there. Okay, and okay, wow, what does this tool do? And is it better than the other tool? Okay, where can implement this? I think we are constantly, as an organization which is providing learning solutions to larger organizations, we are constantly looking at how to upskill our teams, and we are urging all the L&D teams out there to ensure that they are looking out for what's happening out there and upskill your own teams as soon as possible. I think that is the way to go, and the skills are also going to change drastically with all the tools coming into play. So upskilling, reskilling, forgetting, unlearning and learning, a lot of these things are going to happen. And I think we should be braced to, take on this challenge now.
it's very, very important point that you brought up, Kavitha. In fact, that's actually what I was going to get into the next slide, because what you just covered right now, this is the future of L&D as we see it. We, like you rightly mentioned, upskilling strategies, very important to see how we get our workforce AI ready, adapt to the constantly changing way of working. These strategies we need to kind of inculcate, discuss, figure out, as we go forward from here. But it's important that we do starting now. And the second thing is, I think we are clearly seeing a rise in, non e-learning based models also, right, Kavitha? What do you think? I mean, it's not
Right.
just e-learning anymore. I'm sorry, just want
Yeah.
to.
Hello. Yeah. So yeah, I think e-learning, like I said at the beginning, that anything digital, anything that you learn digitally, is e-learning. But I think there is still scope for doing classroom sessions, and the classrooms are also going to evolve, right? Like with humanoids and robots. And I think we have put up one article about on LinkedIn recently about how robots are going to change the classroom experiences, right? And how education, I mean, even for students, how is it going to change? So e-learning is one thing, but the entire I think learning ecosystem is going to change very, very drastically. And and like I said, like Vishak is also saying that upskilling and knowing what works where and how to implement what where. I think that is the key skill that specifically learning solutions providers need to think about. And I think that's the second here, and the first is definitely always upskilling on AI, that is AI things that are coming out there. And the role of e-learning providers, I think all this entire 45 minutes that we were talking is the role of e-learning providers, and I would say be little inquisitive, extremely restless about the situation that is there out there. Only then you will end up learning. If you're feeling complacent in you're thinking it's okay. I mean, things are changing. Let them change. Let me take some time and get there. I think you'll definitely lose the race. Okay, so I think there should be some. I mean, optimal way of dealing with this. But then I think there is a lot happening out there, and we should definitely keep up with it.
True, true. That actually kind of changes the way we look at e-learning providers who probably earlier used to get a certain mandate from a client and say that, okay, this is what you need to design, and they would go ahead and design and develop it. Whereas now e-learning providers are very savvy with the new technologies that are coming out. They're actively experimenting on these tools and, creating new ways of learning. So now they are becoming playing the role of a partner to these organizations and saying that what works, what doesn't work, and they're having that conversation, that dialogue that helps in understanding, okay, this is the next step in creating learning solutions. This is the way that our learners are gonna consume learning. So that conversation, that is being facilitated by e-learning providers a lot these days. And I think going forward, that role also would become extremely significant. And even instructional designers as such, I think they're gonna change to more of a consultant role where whatever be the product or the process, or if it's a behavioral change that we are looking for, instructional designers are going to play a very key role in working with those product teams and other teams to understand what is that change that they are looking for, what is that aha moment that their learners are looking for, and use all these various avenues, AI tools, the kind of sensors and data collection that is available, analytics that they can work in. And there are so many different parameters that they need to consider before they go ahead and design a learning solution and experience. So yes, it's gonna change drastically the way
Yeah.
instruction.
And we are also seeing, right, Vishak, most of our, the clients or the organization that come to us for providing for learning solutions or, experiences for their learners or the employees, they are constantly asking, and what are the different innovations that you're doing in AI area, right? I mean, everybody's focus is there. And
Yeah.
the faster and the quickly, how quickly you adapt to what is happening, I think that will put you ahead of anyone else in this whole game. And yeah, the role is definitely going to evolve. It has already evolved. Actually, it is going to evolve more and more from here. um, really excited to see how this is going to transform. And I think in these 22 years of my 23 years of my experience, I think it all started with, like what you said, a simple small book that we would have written as a learning module to what it is now. I think it's come a long way. And the pace at which, I think there was a time where for a very long time it was kind of status quo. Okay, everybody was developing normal learning modules and all that. And I think even till date there are many e-learning organizations that are creating that. It's not like it's gone away.
Yeah.
But I think the way it is changing now, it has really picked up that momentum. Okay, and in the last 2 years, and from now 2025 onwards, we're just going to see a massive shift in the way we are developing learning content and giving those kind of experience to the learners. And it is scary, but it is challenging. And I think we should all see how we can make this move really successful to all of us. And I think Vishak, collaboration is important. I think whatever channels that we have available for the whole community of instructional designers and learning consultants, and I think we should all get there and start exploring things and understanding how people are implementing, learn from each other. I think that is the way to go. So yeah, nothing much to be told. I think we've emphasized it a lot, that the need for evolving and adapting to these changing environments.
True, true. It's absolutely right. I understand. I feel your, when you say that urgency required in, making sure that we are constantly adapting and following. It's if we are not doing it, we are left behind. And if we are complacent, I really like what you said about if we are complacent and just comfortable, we are not learning anything. We are just being, in that status quo. So it's important to feel that, that discomfort, feel that, disruptive nature of things, and really keep moving forward. So yes, that's what we had. We will kind of stop over here and check with everyone. If anybody has any queries, they can kind of drop it in the chat, and we would like to kind of keep this conversation going on. And there is definitely going to be further webinars that we are putting up to kind of discuss this and other relevant concepts within learning, changes that are happening, new tools, new processes. So yes, we really welcome you all to kind of be part of that conversation.
Yeah, and I think, like what we said, we are learning from everyone else, and we are also posting a lot of articles on, how we are seeing this whole evolution going on, and where all, these this kind of products and tools are can be used, leveraged in the learning industry. So there are newsletters that we are publishing, and we we urge you to read those. And also we are following a lot of trends, and we are implementing a few prototypes for some of our clients. And I think in the upcoming webinars we will try and show some samples of the work that we have been created in this area, to make it more engaging and interesting for people who really want to see what's going on out there. So I think we would like you to stay focused and look for more webinars from Apposite. And yeah, like Vishak said, if any questions from anyone on the team, we can help answer. Thank you, Jeremy.
All right, if that's all you have, handing it back to you, Sid. And thank you for arranging this amazing webinar session.
Thank you so much, Vishak.
Thank you, Vishnu.
Thank you, Sid. And thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar. And we look forward to the next session soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you, guys. Thank you, guys, for your insight.
Take care.